What's going on, guys? This is Coach Greg Souders. I got some videos sent to me of people creating their own games, and I'm going to try my best to critique them and let you guys know what I think of them. The first one is from Adam Duffy Fitness, I think, Rod, right? Where it come from? All right.
Bottom player starts off in triangle and is looking to attempt any upper body submission, i.e. chokes or arm locks.
All right, so I can hit you off right away. Don't like this game. Just at the initial start, you really have to know what level of player you're working with. When you say something like, we're going to start off in the triangle and we're going to look for any submission, chokes, arm locks, this would be something that you would do with an advanced player, because they would have to have the skills built of chokes and arm locks already, because you're not really constraining them to anything. You're just saying situational spar, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if this is designed to build particular skills, the task focus is not clear enough.
The top player's objective is to escape.
Again, what does escape mean? Well, what are they looking to do? Where are they focusing their intention and attention? What does escape mean for this game? Does it mean stand up? Does it mean free yourself from threat? Does it mean free yourself from the triangle? What does it mean?
Game number 2. Bottom player starts in closed guard, and their objective is to break top player's posture and isolate an arm.
Breaking posture is not bad. Yeah, break posture, well, you'd have to define that. You want to give them an end objective. Like I said, if you were discussing this with groups that you already play with, and you just said break posture, and they had a clear, definitive, this is what breaking posture is, then yeah, that's fine. Again, this is just situational sparring. This is not a clearly designed constraints-led approach practice.
There are no submission attempts during this game. Bottom player's objective is to destabilize, immobilize, and isolate an arm.
You can't just use the language, man. You got to define it. Yeah, I'm being too picky though, but let's keep going.
The top player has the same objective as game number 1, to escape and get to a dominant position.
Again, what does escape mean? What does dominant position mean? At best, this is situational sparring. None of this is focused. This is just start here, do the things we typically do.
Game number 3, double knee tag. Both players have the same objective, to tag the other one's knees at the same time. This is going to lay the foundation for double legs.
Not trying to be overly critical here, but if you're going to use the constraints-led approach, you really have to develop a language that better focuses your students' intentions and attentions. So let's focus on the third game here, because that was, I think, had the most potential out of all three. You want to constrain to afford in multiple ways. So if you're trying to get your students to understand the foundations of what creates the opportunities for double leg, knee tag is fine, but you want to give them an initial task focus that makes touching knees easier. If you were to watch any wrestling instructional or listen to any high-level wrestlers talk about the nature of getting to legs, you'll hear them talk about lines of defense. So the first 2 lines of defense they always suggest are the head and hands. So you would probably start this game by getting your students to focus on clearing each other's hands. If I remove my opponent's hands, this makes getting closer to my opponent that much easier. You can start with something simple. You don't have to say head and hands. You could just start with hands first. Or you could add in the head in a different way. You could say, clear your partner's hands, try to get under the head before you touch their knees. You can make it continuous, like clear hands and get under head and touch your opponent's knee or knees as many times as you can. Or you can make it more terminal. As you go to touch your opponent's knees, connect your hands behind a knee. These are some ways that you could create it with more of a clear focus of intention or attention. All right, this next set comes from Kabir, my man Kabir. So I'm hoping good things, man, because I believe in you. So let's see.
For the next round, you and your partner, there's going to be like an offense and a defense, okay? So, if I'm on defense, my goal is to always have either a collar tie, controlling the back of his neck, okay? And third tie, meaning my hand inside of his bicep. My goal is to be here as often as I can, okay? Collar tie, bicep tie. Essentially control the head, control the arms, keep this space, okay? Ernest has one major goal, right, or 2 goals, okay? Either he gets inside my elbows to lock hands, boom, okay, or he gets outside my elbows to behind me. Okay, so the basic goal we should always have, so if he had a collar tie on me, right, I might look at clearing that eye, right, the half line where essentially here I go over his arm, quick and half, find my way to the locked hand.
All right, so I think the ideas here are not actually bad. I just think the explanation needs some work. Again, when we use language to talk to our class, we need to have clearly defined objectives and tasks. It can't be, it could be, here's an option, because it's too nebulous. The students aren't really sure what you're asking them to do. In this game, it seems like you have a student starting with ties, and then the receiving player is trying to clear ties to close the gap and connect the hands. This isn't bad, but I would just keep it as simple as that. You would say, in this game, one player is going to start with hand on the collar, hand inside an elbow. Your job is to keep your arms connected inside your opponent's elbows at all times. Receiving player, your job is to try to clear hands, and as you do, close the gap and connect your hands around your opponent. You want to make it very clear what you want them to do, okay? You're not telling them how to do it, you're just telling them what to do. Yeah, I thought what's good about this video actually is just the demonstration looks clear. Like if I were just to turn your voice off and just watch, it looks clear what you want them to do. Like the visual is not bad. You gave an example of where you want them to start. You gave an example of the win conditions. But yeah, just try to work on the language a bit. I would set it up a similar way to you. Again, I would just make it simple. One player starts with ties. Player starting with ties, try to keep your ties on your opponent for as long as you can. Defending player, remove the ties. As you remove the ties, look to close the distance and connect your hands around your partner's body. Super simple, super quick, but your demonstrations were good. I thought having both you and your uke show the exchange was strong. So yeah, man, good stuff. All right, so this next one is from Josh Setledge. He sent us a written format along with the video, which I like, but I do want to hear your language. So one of the things that I like to critique is how does a coach do it in real time? I mean, it's pretty easy to get on paper and set up a plan. Anyone can do that. And I'm not judging you for it. I'm just saying, what do you say to your students, you know? Now, if you're able to memorize this and spit it back just as you wrote it to me, that's cool. But again, I would love to hear you do it in real time so I can hear the instructions you gave to your students. All right, with Josh, let me read what he had written out. I'll kind of summarize it pretty quickly. So top man starts low in the mounted position. Top man is looking to progress and control as much of inside position as possible. So again, you've already, as I read this, I'm assuming you're talking to people who already know what you're talking about and they're more of an advanced student. What I would like to see is not just saying progress to control as much inside position as possible. Give them a specific target. Do you want them to get under the elbows? Do you want them to get behind the elbows? Do you want them to connect the head and arm together? What do you want them to do? Now, again, if you leave it open like this, then again, this is just assuming these people already have these skills. And then the objective is to submit the bottom man. Okay, that's fine, not a problem. We could say, you know, top player look to gain inside position as a precursor to submitting bottom man. Like I said, that's not bad. That's a nice situational sparring game for people who already know what's going on. And then as a secondary win condition, progress to the back and look for submission from there. That's fine. Like I said, this is an example of situational sparring. The big problem here is not knowing the difference. Situational sparring is just telling them to start in a situation and spar towards an outcome. Submission, escape, sweep, back take, whatever. The way it differs from the constraints-led approach is you're not constraining them to anything other than the position itself. But to use the constraints-led approach more clearly, what skills in this position do you want them to develop? Do you want them to develop a deeper relationship with how to manipulate their partner's arms, or how to expose the back, or how to connect the head and arm together? The things you want them to work on need to be more clearly defined. So yeah, even watching the footage, I don't see a clear focus of intention. I can't tell what you're intending to do. You could have the intention hidden within your head, but one thing I want to tell my students is if I can look out and I can see what you're intending to do, I know that your focus of intention is clear. Even if you're messing up, even if you're making mistakes, even if your partner is beating you, if I can clearly see what your intentions are, to me this tells me you're focused on trying to achieve some outcome. The game itself isn't bad. It was a good, clear example of situational sparring. However, I would like it constrained with a little more focus. Josh had a good note here at the bottom. He said the guy he was working with is a white belt. And that's even better. See, the thing is if it's a brand new player, they need something clear to focus on, not just escape, not just submit. Because these things are outcomes of many different tasks coming together. So when you're working with a new player, you're facing what's called a scaling problem. You want to scale the task focus down to something someone walking in off the street could focus on. So it could be something as simple as keep your hands connected to your opponent. All right, and you could give them a specific target for those hands. You could say, new player on the bottom, your job is to keep your hands connected to my knees and my hips. And you could show them what you mean by knees and hips, and that would be their focus. And then you'd give them an objective for that focus. You would say, okay, as you keep your hands on my hips and knees, I want you to push on my hips and knees to try to create space so you can bring your legs back in front. And then you could show an example of what legs back in front looks like. Just escape is not enough for a new player. We need clear task and objective. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. A few of you submitted videos and we weren't able to get to the review. But if you like this content, we plan to do more in the future. Keep a lookout for more training and practice design content.